in tonight. I got a feeling that the cards just ain't right. I'm so salty, must not give in to rage. And I'm wondering what those rollers will say. Scars still left in me, the cheaters to the right. Here I am, gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight.
Alright, so we're back. Part 2 of our double episode to make up for the horrible length of time that we were away. Very sorry. Holidays had to happen. Tournaments had to happen. All of
sorry,
that.
Not sorry. Well, they got you at Gen Con, so it's kind of the same.
It's true. I met a lot of people at Gen Con that said thanks for doing the cast, so that's really,
that's good.
It's really appreciative. I appreciate that.
It's always nice to meet the 3 people that listen.
I keep telling everybody I'm not sure why people listen, but people continue to, so I guess if people continue to, we'll keep producing.
Yeah, that's good.
So on today's cast, we've got the Khan of Khans, Paul, who won Sydney Kotei. How you going, Paul?
Hey, good, thanks.
Excellent. You're excited for today's cast. It's been a while since the Sydney Kotei. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was a little dreamlike immediately afterwards, but I've had time to compose myself, so yeah, happy to talk.
Yep, you've come down from your exhilarating high, your elation.
My 24 hours of internet fame, yes.
Yeah, pretty good. Have they still got the Discord group named after you?
I think they do. I will check.
The Khan of Khans. Khan's Ordu. Paul's Ordu is what they renamed
it.
Yeah,
still Paul's Ordu.
Yeah. Was that the rename of the Unicorn Group, or was it a new thing?
It used to be called Khan's Ordu, and they said they were going to name it Paul's Ordu for a week, but it still is. So nice. I kind of hope they set it back because it's a bit weird now.
It's a little bit like, looking into someone's eyes for just a little bit too long. It just got uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're in the awkward zone now.
All right. Khan of the South, how did you find the event just in general? Like, this was your first Kotei ever, I think. You didn't go to Koteis in the old one, did you?
No, I played the old one back in the late 90s, I think, for a couple of years, and I didn't make it to last year, so it was great. Wayne did a huge job putting it together. You did a great job casting, heaps of good people. So yeah, all in all, it was a good time.
I got your finals video, by the way, so we'll put that up on the Rollers channel, and you can put it up on your YouTube channel as well.
I don't know about that, man. I watched it back, and I can't believe how many mistakes I made in that final. So no rush on that one.
Oh, well, this is interesting. Well, tell us, please, what kind of mistakes you made in the finals.
Well, it was so. What did you recorded my first and last games on the first day, and then my final on the second. And the one at the end of the first day was okay, but I didn't do Keeper Fate once. I didn't do Keeper Fate again in the finals game. I forgot to dupe Yuchi Shihai, which yes, I think I kind of had rationalized at the time, but yeah, I just wasn't thinking.
I think you ended up with I should have kept Fate somewhere as well, right?
Well, yeah, that's interesting because I took Fate off a ring, but we were using different tokens. So I put the sort of his token to the side, and completely forgot to put mine in my Fate pool. And then a minute later, he was like, "What's this token doing here?" Which is the one I'd taken off the ring. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the one I took off." And then I said to Wayne, "Did I take my Fate from the pool?" And he said, "No." I said, "Do you mind?" And he and the opponent said that was fine, so I did. But if you watch the stream, all you see is me taking a Fate from my pool and putting it in my pile.
That's right. There's no context. Yeah. I wonder if we've actually got the original footage of that. I wonder if we can put that up. I wonder if it's got audio. I don't think it does now that I think about it.
That's right.
So all in all, a pretty good day. A couple of days. What did you think of the venue?
I have no basis of comparison, but it seemed fine to me. Like we went downstairs for a drink afterwards. The food was fine. Plenty of space in the room. No complaints. It seemed to work pretty well.
No, nice one. So are you a Sydney person, Paul? Queensland, Melbourne?
Melbourne originally, but I'm in Canberra now. So it's quite a good distance actually. Yeah, because I was able to drive down fly down, I think it was, to a tournament in Melbourne with Melbourne a few months ago. And Sydney's nice. Sydney's just a 3-hour drive, so you can do either a day trip or the weekend in this case.
Yeah, nice. No, that's good. right in the heart of it, mate. You get plenty of stuff in.
You bet.
Yeah, I remember that event. That was the event where our hotel wasn't booked for like the extra day, and I had to go back to the hotel and get all our stuff and drop around.
I'm still salty about that because you were able to do that and get into the finals and do quite well, and I still don't know how you did it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess luck was with me at that event, but maybe not at this event. At this event, I went 1-2, went on tilt, and then dropped.
Yeah, yeah. We've been to Gen Con, so it's all a bit of a whatever since then.
Yeah, it was. Did we talk about this on the last cast? I can't remember.
Briefly.
I don't think we did, right? I've talked about it to so many people, I forget who I've actually spoken to it about, like the event and why I dropped and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we haven't really been through it.
Yeah. I've completely forgot as well that when you're Hatamoto, you get glory points, I think it is. Like for every Hatamoto that like wins a game or something like that, you get like glory points for your clan, and then that goes towards choosing either Kunshu or the theme of the prizes at the World Championships. So I completely forgot about all of that, and now I feel bad about dropping.
No, I think it's I don't know. I'd just be stoked to sit in there and get a whole bunch of games in at that sort of level. I think it'd be a very different experience.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think
it really
definitely Gen Con had a bunch of games already.
Yeah, that's the flip side, isn't it? You've got to be practiced and trained to get in there. You've got to get your reps in, but at the same time, you can't play too much before you go into a competitive event because you get cooked.
Yeah, that's right.
Like 3 games of L5R in, and I'm fucking baked most of the time. I can barely think.
Yeah, it's funny. It's this weird sort of high, this buzz that carries you through, and then you get to the end of the last game and you just crash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, nutrition was a thing as well, right? So I rocked up in the morning and played 2 games. The second game I played against Conan, right? And Conan and I often have very heated, very intense games, and this was no exception. It got to we had what would you call an altercation around whether he could trigger upholding authority or not, and that put some extra strain on things. And then after that game, I think they did a lunch break. Did they do a lunch break after round 2? Or
it might have been round 2, yeah.
Yeah, because I felt at the end of that game that I couldn't go anywhere or do anything, even though there was a lunch break, because the venue that there was, I couldn't get anything to eat. I hadn't brought anything. Sorry, I couldn't get anything to eat in time, right? Like there were lines and things like that. And I didn't bring anything. So when I went into my third game, I was kind of exhausted and I didn't really have anything to bring my energy back. And so, yeah, kind of went on tilt and was a bit too cocky and just threw that game way out the window. Like you wouldn't believe. I'm ashamed of that game. Not to take anything away from my opponent. My opponent absolutely crushed me. Like he was making all the great plays, and I was making all the bad plays, and he absolutely killed me in that game.
Yeah, it's funny how you can just get off kilter though. Because in my second game, we were playing me versus Dragon, and something happened where we did a framework error where we managed to miss my second conflict, and then we went on to his one, and then afterwards I realized I haven't used my second, and I don't know how we did, and we sort of thought it could be reversed, but I just said, no, we'll just keep going. But it threw me so badly, and then the next turn I hit Restoration of Balance, and I ended up having to discard 10 cards. I just totally forgot to remove them from my hand because I was just like still trying to figure out what had happened. And yeah, it's funny the way your mind plays with you in those situations.
Yeah. Restoration of Balance, still a good card.
Still a good card.
So your deck, Paul, the unicorn that took it home, you've got quite a write-up there on the Bushi builder.
Yeah, English.
Yeah, and you talk about all the bits and pieces. So what was, if you TLDR it for us, what was the basic concept? It's a pretty generic HMT, but without like Chagatai and some of those other staples.
Yeah, that's it. I think the no Chagatai certainly raised eyebrows when I was telling people about it beforehand, but there's a phrase that gets thrown around a bit in unicorn discussions, which is high roll or lose. Because you tend to see Chags and you charge him, or you hope that you get an appealing of fortunes, or you hard buy him, because he is just this ultimate like break things. But I talk about in the write-up how a good player will just cloud him or bow him or hit political water the next conflict and bow him that way. And a good player will do that. So I feel like you can get lucky and you can go that high roll, but you're never going to, in my mode, with my skill, get to a Kotei with something like Chagatai and those big high risk, high reward cards. So I just got frustrated on Jogoku of having him run into a wall and then everything fall apart because I was putting so much into that Chags charge. And so it was almost a conscious decision to make myself play more cautiously and build for the next turn rather than try and win that big conflict, which a good player will see coming a mile off and do something about.
Yeah, okay. And you've got instead of Chag, you've got a pretty solid complement of Shigenja out of yours.
Yeah, and that was kind of inspired by, I've talked to Melon about the Kato Kasori deck out of Phoenix, where you just tower up Kasori, and then she just sits in the back line and contributes her skill through air conflicts. And you've got, like, Dayu, who in late game, he can give a chunk of force to somebody who's attacking already, or they can sit there and use force of the river, or if you really needed to, you can just give them one of a Barcher and send them in and get their hands dirty. And so I kind of was finding that if Unicorn can tower but can't tower that well, and we have very few cards that will mess with opponents' characters, whether they can mess with us, till the cows come home. And so I try to keep the big towers out and send in the cool little scouts. And if there's a sniff of a province break, I'll send in River Spirits or send in Dai's ability or Curve Blades or Bonsais or what have you, but try and save the Shugs as just kind of a more solid, reliable backline, which is not a typical HMT play, but I found it's worked for me, and it certainly, like, I got lucky in the tournament. Although the big caveat, which I should say, is that I got like the luckiest matchups for the whole tournament. I didn't have to play Phoenix Chargebird or Crane once, which was the main reason why I was able to get so far.
That's it. So did you have, like, in the back of your mind, though, a plan for that matchup? Like, what you would do, what the idea was? Or was it just pray? With Crane, Finger of Jade is the run that really wins it for me, because they have a lot of duels, Crane, but you sort of split them into two kinds. There's the one where they will target your guy, win a duel, and bow your guy. And then they've got the ones where they initiate a duel, but you get to choose who accepts it. And if you lose, something terrible happens, like everybody gets sent home, or you can't declare military conflicts, or the conflict ends in a draw. And all of those things will destroy a Unicorn Swarm deck. But because you get to choose the target, you put a Finger of Jade on before that duel is going to happen, and then just cancel the duel's effect. And they will still do their targeted bow duels, but because you're running on sort of a wide board with River Spirits and sort of spreading your Curve Blades and your Bonsais around, you can sort of get past that. Yeah, okay. Nice one. And
But
Phoenix?
against Phoenix, that's more prey. It did okay online, just testing beforehand. Like Melon and I played a few games and it did okay, and I did some random Jugokus. But the thing is with Phoenix, like if they want to win a military conflict, they're kind of going to. And so you just have to accept that you're going to lose that one, but you've got to get a HMT trigger elsewhere and then just sort of get cheap province breaks as much as you can, and try and get on box before they get to your box, which is, you've got plenty of military pump in there, and you sort of you play for the 5 conflicts per turn. Like you're not going to win the big one, but you might be able to get lucky when they trigger Khans or do, or if you have to use a captive audience, which is not ideal because you really want to save it for Korimori on the box. But you just kind of death by 1,000 cuts, pick away at them, and then hope you can bring it home in the end, which is what I was hoping to do, but whether or not it would have worked, I probably doubt.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's kind of interesting what you say about Phoenix, because in our test games, I don't know if you remember, but I felt like that deck was really solid against the decks that I was playing at the time. I can't remember whether they were. I don't think they were charged, but I think they must have been like the previous version, Secret Void. But I felt very under pressure in the military conflict.
Yeah, I think we were still, like, you were sort of getting the hang of the deck, and we were working on how many Satoshis and things like that. But it did have Forebearers Echoes in there, and I could see the potential, but we were both trying to sort of get our heads around it.
Yeah. I always thought that Unicorn and Lion would have been one of the tougher matchups for that deck. We can get into that a bit later.
Yeah, I'd be keen to hear about why. But so it was, and obviously just the other thing with your deck there, you've got Dragon as a splash. Is that just all about the let go?
It's all about their let go and favor because, like unicorn, they're so vulnerable to getting charge or captive or particularly cavalry reserves cancelled, and so you're kind of playing turn one just to get the favor, and then you can start to flex your muscles a bit in turn two, and by turn three you've sort of got your artillery shugs online, and you've hopefully kept the favor. So yeah, it's really just about Ancient Master and the favor and let go.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So,
yeah, I like it.
So, Khan of the South, you managed to avoid all the Crane and Phoenix matchups in your run, but you didn't
Correct.
avoid Scorpion. How did you find Scorpion? You've certainly played it.
Well, Scorpion's kind of a good matchup for me because again, the death by 1,000 cut things comes through. Like if Scorpion wants to mess with you, they'll mess with you. So it's almost about just having enough bodies to keep throwing at the wall and hope some of them are going to stick. In the semi-finals game against Hamund, who's an amazing player, but I'll try and recount this battle, but I sent in a Tetsuko and he fate worse than death her. And so I charged in a regulars and he dishonor for shamed that. And then I dropped a Shinjo ambusher and he was able to assassinate that. And then I think I had a Shiotome, so I wanted to win the conflict and ended up having to charge a Moto youth, a one-cost conflict character. But I was just thinking he can't have anything left to mess with me. And lucky enough that the charge landed. I won the conflict. It was just enough to break because it was the first conflict and it was only a 3-strength province, whatever it was. And so despite having like everything killed and cancelled, I was able to get the province break, the HMT trigger, and then Shiotome, the original Tetsuko, back up and go and get another break. So I think I broke 2 or 3 provinces on the first turn, despite all that. And that's kind of the idea. You just have so many little things you can just send in, and they can only mess with so much. And if you get tempo and you get Spoils of War, you can carry it.
What do you think their strategies were?
Cunning Magistrate will really mess with Unicorn because like you just everything's based on military. But again, like you just have to accept that you're going to lose that one, so you have to send in another cheap body. Hope you got a captive so you can flip and then get some tempo there. Because it's all about the HMT. Like once you've got the trigger and once you've got the extra attack, you've got 9 one-cost conflict characters, so you're always going to have someone there for that third conflict, and you can just drop a curve blade or a bonsai or something, and you get a lot of the work done on the third province. So you're almost baiting your opponent into using everything on your big first one, or you send in like a sort of a diversionary political conflict. So in the finals against Ray, I sent in Shahai on political. Roy, and he fate worse than death her. And I had a Sentia that was active, but I let it go because look, I knew that wasn't going to be the conflict this turn. And then the next conflict, he fate worse than death my regulars, I think, and I was able to Sentia that and then take it from there.
Nice. So you didn't have any real trouble conflicts by the sounds of it? You sort of obviously dodged the ugly bird.
Yeah.
Birds, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
But,
I paper, scissors, rock, and I'm the first to admit that.
Nice. No, it's great though. It's good to see Unicorn get some stripes, get a few stars on the board.
Yeah.
You should change your Discord name to Shinjo Paul or something.
Khan of Khan.
Moto Paul.
Is the Khan a Moto or is it Khan a Shinjo? I thought the Khan was a Shinjo.
Well,
the Khan.
Where is it written that the Khan of Khans must be a Shinjo?
Best flavor text ever. Yeah, I've got a Unicorn Stronghold tournament next month in Sydney, and I'm like, ooh, I want the Chags mat, obviously, but I don't know if I'm worthy of it. Like, should I put Chags back in the deck?
Are you kidding?
So that I win the tournament with Chags, and then I can use his mat, right?
Yeah. I think I'm not really sure. I think there is definitely a valid point there to win the Chagatai mat with Chags.
Yes.
I felt like anybody that went to the Phoenix event that didn't have a Phoenix deck was like an imposter. I I'm thinking actually, so I've bought a bunch of artwork from Gen Con and I want to run a tournament series here in Hong Kong to give away the artwork. And I've got like one piece of art per clan. And we did this in Melbourne, it was really good. So I want to do it again here. But I want to, I don't know, I want to not just have like top of clan go to the top of clan because I don't think there are enough players. And I'm trying to figure out whether I should do like a series, right? So you have the Dragon series, everybody plays Dragon, and then the top player walks away with the artwork. And then you do that over like 7 weeks or 7 months or something.
I just want to point out real quick that if you have that first one with the Dragon Clan, you must call it the Drag Race.
All right. I like it. Yeah, cool. All right, so that's Sydney Kotei. There are a bunch of side events at the Sydney Kotei. Did you play in any of them, Shinjo Paul?
I did not, unfortunately. I played the finals on the second day, and then I just kind of played a bunch of casual games with people. I think Wayne might have included me. Like somebody had a buy, so I said I'd play against that person just to give them a game, and that was fun. But mostly I was pretty brain dead by the end of the finals. I ended up going out of the place and finding a sushi restaurant because I felt I had to celebrate, and so it was nice to just sort of have a bit of walk in some fresh air. And then I took the photo, and I posted it in the Unicorn Discord, a picture of the sushi with the little sake cup. But I'd won like a bunch of koku, and so I had this little bowl that I'd set up with the guy giving the koku, and we'd put the little Spoils of War card leaning against it, so it was like Spoils of War and all this koku and the sushi. So it was a nice celebration.
Tell you what,
like
you get a lot of koku like when you get into the cut at these events.
Yeah, you sure do.
Okay, all right. Well, so let's look more broadly at Koteis in general, shall we? Sure. I did a little bit of analysis not analysis. I put together like a super quick spreadsheet of like win rates and things like that. Basically, just pulling all the data off Imperial Advisor. Thanks, guys. Let me find the spreadsheet.
It's super good.
I know, right? Because
like their surveillance of L5R, I think rivals like Chinese government levels of surveillance.
It's freaky how quick they are getting stuff up.
They are right on top of it as soon as anything happens.
I'm trying to find this. Oh, there we go. So after the last cast, I felt like I just wanted to look at some of the data. And at the time we recorded, day 1, I think, of Krakow was going on. So day 2 has been completed, and currently day 3 of Krakow is coming through. The spreadsheet, what I've done is I've kind of looked at qualification rates and bad matchups. So I wanted to get an idea, because you know how everybody talks about like there's the color wheel in Magic, you know, like these opposing forces. And in L5R, I guess it's like certain clans are better at certain things, like Scorpion maybe dominate Unicorn maybe dominate Scorpion or Lion or something like that. So I looked at bad matchups, and I just finger in the air because you can't do much, I think, with what percentage you draw the line at. So I kind of drew the line at if a clan at an event had like a 60-ish% win rate against another clan, I was going to call that a bad matchup for the opposing clan. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you go and look at the Imperial Advisor charts that they put together, which are great by the way, if it comes kind of close to 60%, maybe 58 to 62% or higher, I'm going to call that a bad matchup. So based on that, let's just go through the numbers. So at Gen Con, I think Phoenix had one bad matchup, which is what? Gen Con, Phoenix, Scorpion. So Phoenix had 40% versus Scorpion. Would that be your experience, guys?
So Phoenix, had a 40% win rate or a loss rate?
Win rate. So they would only win 40% of the time in games versus Scorpion at Gen Con.
No, look. In my experience, traditionally, Scorpion do quite well versus Phoenix, and it does depend a bit on your flavor of Scorpion. Mostly because like the new, I suppose I'm talking out of the context of the new Dredgebird, right? So Dredgebird is a bit different because we've all conceded that it's super duper strong all the time.
Yeah, and I'm only looking at events since Pack 2 became legal. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in general though, Phoenix got a lot of high glory stuff, and Scorpion have got a whole ton of dishonor, right? And that makes a very, very big difference. Where that changes though is that Scorpion tend to run super, super event heavy, as opposed to attachments. And so if Phoenix are running Dynasty Tadaka or Sage Gishitoshi, that can drastically flip it the other direction.
Master
Yes.
Yoshitoshi.
Master, yeah, sorry, not the Sage. The Sage is the one that everybody goes home and no one fights.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You got to be more honourable.
but
And
yeah. But
Scorpion
What's
can
up,
also
Khan
run
of the Great
Cunning
Glass Sea?
Magistrate.
Sorry, Khan of the Great Glass Sea. Grass Sea. What was that you were saying?
Yeah, I was just saying Cunning Magistrate will shut down a military
Yes.
attack if you... So they will
Yeah,
shut down.
that's what I was going to say. It was like you really pin a lot of hopes on the military attack against Scorpion, I think, because they're so bad at it, and everybody knows that Cunning Magistrate is the answer to that military attack. They don't even need to get your glory; they just need to get you dishonored, and then you're basically zero. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They can also use Fate Worse Than Death against the bird because it'll shut off the bird's resurrect action.
if
true
if
that.
it was echoes in, if it was charged in, it won't because the phase will end before the ability goes off. I
Is
think
there
that caught a few
five
people by
birds blank?
surprise, actually. Okay, so that was against that was Phoenix. So in Krakow in Krakow they also had, I think, basically one bad matchup. It was Crab on day 2, surprisingly enough, and Crane on day 1. So Crane were winning 64% of the time against Phoenix on day 1, and Crab were winning 62% of the time on day 2. That's kind of interesting.
66. Yeah, so Crab and Crane, I don't know.
Well, again,
I always thought,
Crane can
actually-
shut down military attacks with their big jewelers.
Yeah, I think Crane can get really good, right? Like honoring all their people, canceling all your stuff. Things like the two characters that initiate jewels, right? Kaizen and Toshimoko are really good against Phoenix, I think.
Yeah, they're not the only ones, but yeah, they're the two military guys.
They're the big ones.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also Yuri, right? Who turns off. It's like you can only declare political conflicts. He's really good against Phoenix.
Yeah, he messes up Unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ruins a lot of lives, that guy. I mean, worst case scenario, if you do it for the first conflict of the game, your opponent loses a conflict, right? So, yeah, super duper good. I love that guy. But there's also the one that lets you draw a couple of cards, and there's also the one that bows and sends someone home, and there's also... there's another one. There's a heap. Crane have got jewelers coming out of their ears.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they just get
Guess-
so much value out of that stronghold now.
Yeah,
Stronghold
absolutely. Yeah. But look, versus Phoenix, even the Dredgebird deck, so inclusive of that one, something like a Guest of Honor would be super potent. Like,
Correct.
would be unbelievably strong in that matchup, like, versus Phoenix. And even without Dredgebird, like, against Phoenix generally, a Guest deck would be super crazy, and that's outside of all the other cancels that Crane can bring along to the table. Like, they've just got so many. Like, and it's even worse now because with their keeper role back online now, they've got the dual cancel as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they're really strong. Crane is really
Yeah.
strong, and then you've got Uji, who just gives them so much economy.
Yeah,
which is nice.
But don't forget, Hidden Moon Dojo is the one that's busted. That's what everyone complains about. Never mind
Yeah.
the guy that works for everybody and discounts all your stuff.
And he's 3 other
Doesn't
you deck.
work. Yeah,
I think Hidden
And
Moon
he can
Dojo
just-
is at least as good as like Kanjo District or Karate District. It's probably better than
Oh, God,
Karate
yeah.
District.
I think it's the
maybe.
best one.
Yeah, like playing Hidden Moon Dojo, for me, Hidden Moon Dojo feels convenient, whereas like it feels handy to play. You get maybe a little bit of fate, less decisions need to be made. Whereas Kanjo and Karada feel like they just wholesale win games and they have way bigger impact.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
they
I
land and you can just that's I'm telling how it feels. I know
I'm
the,
down
the
with that.
common consensus.
No,
But
yeah, I don't disagree with how you feel, obviously, because I can't.
Yeah.
But I feel that they're about equal.
I think if they do Core 2 set, which there's sort of there's rumors about, that the one per deck holdings have to go because there's no skill involved, right? Of course you include those three cards in your deck, and if you get them at the start, you're lucky, and if you don't, you're not, and there's no skill in that.
That's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
look,
play
I
to
think
your strengths. So
I think any and all one copy of cards need to not exist. Like duty as well is the same thing, right? Like that, I think is I feel like duty is the more fair comparison to Kanjo and Karada, because that will win you a game.
Yeah,
like duty. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think all three are at similar power level. So one thing to keep in mind with Core 2.0. Sorry, Shinja, I'm just going to finish my point, which is that if they do a Core 2.0, those cards are not core set cards. They're all clan pack cards or.
Did they all come later? Did they?
Yeah. Hidden Moon Dojo, I think, came in a cycle, so it's going to be here for a while. Kanjo came in. Oh yeah, sorry, Hidden Moon Dojo. Kanjo came in the Phoenix pack, and Duty came in the Scorpion pack.
I came late to the game, so I kind of just bought up everything in one go, and still can't figure out what came from where.
Yeah. It's still. I love the fact that like you haven't been playing as long as some people, and I don't know how strong your sort of local meta is. So most of your play is like online, and then it's your first Kotei, and then you just win. Love it.
Yeah.
I like that your deck's not. I really like that his deck isn't tricky. I like that his deck is just I'm here to break your stuff, and everything I have is going to do that. Like, all of it. It
was all designed to be low risk. Moderate reward, I guess.
Yeah. I struggle. The only thing I struggle with in your lineup is censure. I think. And I understand why it's there. Like you kind of have to have it, right? But
well, if you're winning,
out of curiosity, Paul, well, why? So, if I could go back, so we just
the other option is the keeper cancels with lots of curved blades, but I've found them like if you send in like a chud with a curved blade and then you try and cover it. And they cancel it. You can't use your keeper cancel because there's no one there to duel. So there's just things like that where it's...
Yeah, okay, I feel you. I just feel like if you don't have the favor, you're in such a rough spot when you need that censure. But
it's completely built about getting the favor because you're right. It's got the 3 keeper initiates, obviously the Palace, the 3 ancient masters, and you just try and pick away at as many complex as you can. Like display of power will mess you up and things like that, but in general, like you play the first hand to get the favor, and that's all you really want, just so you can get censure online and you take it from there.
Yeah, first hand's pretty low impact like that as well. You're rarely going to get completely stormed on that round.
Yeah.
Anyway, data.
All right, so Scorpion. Speaking of Scorpion, at Gen Con, I counted 0 bad matchups for a Scorpion. The closest that they came to was against Crane. They had a 48% win rate, so that's basically 50-50 against Crane. Every other matchup is as close or above 60%. They had an excellent win rate against everyone at Gen Con. In Krakow,
yeah, Scorpion still really good.
Yep. In Krakow, on day 1, they actually had what I'm calling a bad matchup against... Oh, wait a second. Have I screwed up? 1A. They had a bad matchup against Unicorn on 1A, where they lost 33% of their games. Sorry, 2. They lost 33% of their games against Unicorn and 42% of their games against Phoenix. But then on 1B, it was just all good.
Yeah, no bad matchups. I mean, Scorpion they've just got so many, they got all the tools. Like, they've got everything, right? They've got cancels and attachment hate and all the stuff. So they don't really need to... they don't need to outsource, so they can outsource to other clans just to complement their win condition.
Yeah, that's right. I think...
So, like... I understand why Scorpion is so strong. I mean, their weakness is glaring, though. Like, they have... If you hit them with military, which is probably why they've had struggle with Unicorn sometimes, like, they don't often have a lot of answers to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get around. And particularly stuff like, man, when you're playing Scorpion and you're running against Unicorn and you run into Khan's Ordu, it is just the worst feeling. Like, the whole turn is just written off and you can't do a thing.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. let's just hit the pause button for a sec while we wait for Paul to kind of come back.
Yeah, no worries.
And all right? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pause the recording kind of nowish. Yeah? 3, 2, 1.
Awesome. All right. So we had a bit of net static going on there for a second.
Yeah,
But
bit
we're
of a
back.
technical snafu.
Yep.
So
One of
Paul,
my favourite kinds.
just to catch you up, I don't know how how much of the previous conversation you caught, but we had just finished talking about Scorpion, I think. So Scorpion have... Okay, so we're just saying Scorpion have they only had 2 bad matchups on day 1 in Krakow. So other than that, no bad matchups. So next up is Lion. These are in no particular order, by the way. It's just the order that I remembered the names of the clans in. So Lion had, as we all know, some pretty bad matchups.
I sort of
In
dropped out
Gen
about halfway
Con,
through.
they had 2. In Krakow day 1, they had 4, and on Krakow day 2, they had 2. So let's go through that super briefly. So Gen Con, Lion, against Phoenix, they had a 30% win rate. Against Scorpion, they had a 42% win rate. Yes, that's 2. So Scorpion and Phoenix were challenging for Lion. Krakow day 1, Lion just got slammed against the wall, right? They got hit by Crane, Phoenix, Scorpion, and Unicorn. Yeah, and then on day 2, they were hit against the wall by Scorpion and Phoenix. So Scorpion and Phoenix being super bad for Lion. I know what card it is. You guys want to have a guess at what card it makes this a big problem for Lion? Like
No,
against
what is
Phoenix.
it?
Sorry, the Phoenix card that
Yeah,
makes it a
it
problem.
was a
against
bad
Lion.
time.
There's so many. I'm going to say display of power.
Oh, you're going with display? I reckon it's Kuroi Mori. What, Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the province. Yeah, it's the same with Unicorn, right? Like, it's just all tears when that thing is on the box. I mean, at least Unicorn have got more answers. At least Unicorn can fucking captive audience and hopefully flick around it
Yeah,
somehow.
display is what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, that card is brutal.
And what about Scorpion?
Oh, yeah, that'll mess you up.
Summer? What do you think? That's Paul,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, at
What
least
about
with
the
Unicorn,
Scorpion
you've got
matchup?
captive
What makes
audience.
the Scorpion matchup so challenging for Lion?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think cutting through. I think the answer to all of, like, we're going to ask the similar question. All of the
Sorry, what
things.
was the question?
It's going to be cutting
I was thinking
magistrate.
big
It's
stats.
just a problem for everybody.
It is a rough
Ooh,
card.
well, Cunning Magistrate for a start. All the cancels.
Yeah, that as well.
nice.
But I mean, and also though, I'll point out that
Yeah,
Lion have
I think Cunning is
mostly
just being
across
out of
the board
Dishonor because they've all got really high
super bad
glory.
political stats, and Scorpion is super strong in that arena. So yeah.
Yeah, I just the Dishonors because Lion have really high
That's it.
glory.
I don't even think their pumps are that great. Like, Legion of One is amazing, don't get me wrong, and Way of the Lion is only okay if you've already got big bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Lion have got
Yeah,
amazing
I just-
military pumps.
They don't have as much as, like, even
at the moment they don't have a
like
lot
Unicorn, I think, grossly out military Lion, like by a substantial margin.
Yeah. Yeah, it might just start multiplying.
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty specific.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. It's an interesting
Yeah,
matchup
it
though.
can
Whenever you have
depend.
two
Like
HMT decks, going
I
at each other.
surprisingly struggle against Lion. Sometimes like they can mess with your honor. They can.
Speaking of
they
the
can
Unicorn
multiply
event, I
Way
love
of the
that.
Lion.
Was it in the Unicorn
If they,
event
like,
where
if they
the
want to do
HMT box
military, they
you
will.
got, and it
But
was
again,
like
you can just sort of go
double-sided?
wide and play around a bit.
Or was that somewhere else? Yeah. Yeah, I love that. The fact that it's like double-sided. It's the same location. Yeah.
Yeah. Although you don't see the HMT.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember. I get these things. Yeah. Okay. Crab matchup. So this one surprised me a little bit, right? But Crab seemingly had 3 bad matchups in Gen Con Cracker Day
yeah,
1
but
and
you were
Cracker
good
Day
enough to
2.
give me one. So thank
They
you. It's
were
really cool
at
card.
Gen Con Looks like Lion,
Yeah, I think
Phoenix,
that,
and
I don't know where
Scorpion.
that came from. It must have
Scorpion's
been a
probably going to be
Unicorn
on all of these
Stronghold.
lists. On
Although I think the
Krakow Day
Unicorn
1,
Stronghold kit
it
has the
was the
Shiroshinjo one.
same. Lion, Scorpion, and Phoenix. Krakow Day 2, it was Lion, Scorpion, and Unicorn. So Lion and Scorpion are the ones that they have a consistently bad matchup against. Let's start with Lion. Why do you think that is?
Oh, I don't know. Why? Tell me, Melon.
No, I don't. Yes. 54 games in total on day 2 for Krakow, 69 on day 1, and 136
Yeah, they smashed them on day 2.
Gen Con. So I think number of games, I think that's a lot of games.
Yeah, that's a
gotta be
tough
honest,
one. Like, it was really
the
high.
only thing
like,
I can really think of is maybe it's the
89 to
speed,
11%,
right?
wasn't it? So
Because
maybe it's a really small sample.
these two clans are kind of opposed in terms of when they want to win the game. Crab want to win the game on turn 4+, and maybe Lion, the kind of Lion decks that we were looking at, maybe they want to win earlier than that. And maybe that's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is Ready for Battle as well, actually, right? So Fight On loses a lot of its power if the unit that you're bringing in doesn't ready. It has to have like a really good attachment on it for it to matter and not be ready.
Could also be that Lion can play the long game because of Kotei.
Yeah.
You can keep your characters alive.
Ready for Battle.
Compared to Crab, it's not that great.
Well, they're not bowing the... Oh, hang on, Ready for Battle. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, my mistake. I was thinking maybe you could Fight On and then play Ready for Battle. But no, that doesn't work. You're right. I got that completely...
Wait, say that again?
Yeah, got completely
EBS.
backwards there. In that case,
And
the
so
only
what
thing
are
I
the Crab
can really
doing?
think
It's
of is
bowing
speed.
Lion?
You know, I mean, that's kind of it. There's an interesting Crab deck. Yeah, all right. Well, since we have no insights on that one, let's move on.
Skyward.
We got nothing.
Yeah, if anybody does have any ideas, go ahead and like our Facebook page and put a comment down on any of the posts we post.
I mean,
this
the two
podcast
strongholds cancel each other out.
All right, the Khan that was promised. This one is a clan that is close to your home, which is your home.
It's a strange one. I'd like to know.
Yukon at Gen Con had 3 bad matchups, 1 on Krakow Day 1 and 2 on Krakow Day 2. So let's have a look at Gen Con. Gen Con is... they had bad matchups against Crab, Dragon, and Scorpion, but only at 60%, right? So they're not crushingly bad, but, you know, unfavorable matchups. Krakow Day... Definitely Unicorn, HMT Unicorn, I think, versus Phoenix. If you get into a race, HMT wins because in a race, more conflicts win, right?
They're surprising. Like but
at least at Gen Con, there was a
50-50
win rate there.
And Dragon, which has not been mine
against
but I guess
Dragon,
maybe some of them were playing
Dragon,
which are
Crab,
weaker
and
against
Scorpion. It was all at 40% or so. So that's interesting. So we haven't talked about Dragon. Like, what does Dragon have over Unicorn? Void Fist?
Yeah.
Well, Void Fist is rough. Maybe you can manage it
if
you're playing wide.
Because Unicorn,
Sacred Sanctuary is really tough to get past.
There's a reason
they're going
they
to
have
Togashi
the Windswept,
the tower on box twice in a row. So
to get the free honor. There's a reason they hang on to that because they like to bottom out their honor pretty fucking hard
without sort of running out. And if they're playing Daisho, they're doing
it's like
you don't have
Captive Audience and Bonsai and back when they had the fire, they've got Jin, and then there's the Assassinates, and then there's they've just got so many that they bleed the audience.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, so I think that's probably
we
a decent
bleed
mark, 'cause
captive audiences
a
and bottom
Daisho
guys
deck
and not
that's got a
defending.
full hand, they can drill you down pretty hard, pretty fast. You can lose a lot of honor really quick.
Jin, rest
And
in
even
peace.
if that doesn't win you the game, it just strangles your hand for the rest of the game. And
Yeah,
if you
I can't run
into a resto or
Assassinate.
something,
I
as
just
like
use
Paul
too much
was
on.
saying earlier, once you drop 10 cards, that yeah. Yeah, no, true that.
So Krakow day 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It's
rough.
Krakow day 1 and 2, they got absolutely annihilated. Unicorn got annihilated by Phoenix. They're at 30% win rates for both of those days.
Yeah, well, that was me. You've got Ambusher, so you should be able to deal with
Yes,
it.
we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that.
Properly.
And then Scorpion. So I think probably we've said enough about Scorpion. Do you think actually honor pressure is one of the secrets to success against Unicorn for crap? Like, yeah.
Yeah, although having said that, 3 of the top 10 on day 1 were Unicorns. Yeah, I think it is. Watch Command is really strong.
Go through real fast.
They can just take
All right,
it.
let's
like,
end this portion
again with Unicorn,
this
sort of idea that you have to
particular
rush
set
with
of data
HMP,
on Dragon, which
and you can only
unfortunately
hit a wall so many times before you
is
start
having
bleeding.
the worst
Which is again
day,
why
the worst
with my deck,
time
I tried to
possible
switch
in a
it more to a
Kotei
mid game
season.
because
So we've got
can just
3 bad
so easy to
matchups in
burn
Gen
out.
Con, 5 bad matchups on day 1 in Krakow, and 4 bad matchups on day 2 in Krakow. So let's see what they like. Why don't I mention the favourable matchups? How's that?
Yeah, okay.
So at Gen Con they did really well against Crab and Crane. In Krakow they did really well against Dragon. And actually in Krakow on day 2 they did really well. Hang on, what am I looking at? Oh my god, I'm looking at line again. Forget everything I just said. Let's go back to. Sorry, yeah, okay. So Dragon Clan. So Gen Con they've got middling matchups against Lion and Crab and Unicorn. So their bad matchups were crushing against.
Yeah, you're looking at different stats than me.
Against Crane. Yeah, Phoenix and Scorpion. Krakow. Their good matchup. Their one good matchup is against Crane. On day 1 it was against Crane. On day 2 they got absolutely annihilated by Crane. And everything else is kind of middling. Yeah, this is such an interesting set of results actually for Dragon Clan. They are like again the Crane. Actually, it's the same number of games. So the only thing I can think of is that better Cranes were playing in day 2 than were playing on day 1.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something to do with like the cut, like the games that get played.
Yeah, they're quite different. Day 1 and day 2, aren't they?
For Krakow across the plan. And you've got points and better players playing against better players. Like once you're matching up equal skill levels, approximately, then maybe that's where the strength of the clans and the decks maybe starts to really come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really like to understand a bit more about that, right? Because if you just took a glance at the charts that are on Imperial Advisor, so Phoenix Clan on Krakow Day 1B look really good, like over 50% for most matchups, and it seems like they're kind of consistent. Like there's not as much difference in the variety of their win to loss ratios. Whereas if you look at Crab on day 1B, Crab have like this crushing 11% win rate against Lion, and then everything else is kind of there's just a lot of variation, right? It's like crushing versus even versus something else, like really good for them. Well, everybody from day 1 that didn't qualify got to play on day 2. So were there more players on day 2? There would have to have been, right?
Yeah. If you just look at those bars, they just look like the curve.
So maybe that
one. Day
makes
two,
a difference.
I don't know. Maybe people
are
were playing more sort of wacky decks on day two.
But
so you get more noise.
Dragon absolutely crushing. So let's have a look at the next set of charts that I put together, or the next sort of table. So the next one is the qualification win rate. So this is on a percentage basis, the number of players that advance from the Swiss into the cut. So if we just go through them sort of in the same sort of thing.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Let's go in this one in highest qualifying rate to lowest qualifying rate. So the highest on a percentage basis, not in terms of like the number of players that qualified, but on a percentage basis, the clan with the highest percentage over those 3 events was Scorpion. So they had 16% at Gen Con, 10% on day 1 at Krakow, and 20% or 19% on day 2 at Krakow. I don't think anybody's surprised there, right?
No, Scorpion, they're just good. As I said, they've got enough tools to answer most things. It's just a matter of whether or not you draw them and whether or not you're experienced with the matchup. Like if you know what you're doing, you've got a chance against everything when you play Scorpion. Like they've got all the right tools. Yeah. Yeah.
Crane have a similar, not as similar, but they're also the next highest, right? So they're qualifying at 12% of their player base at Gen Con, 12% at Krakow Day 1, and 17%. Krakow
they've got
Day
a really
2.
good kit. They've got attachment control, they've got cancel, they've got dishonor.
No, I feel like it's the same deal.
Same thing.
Like, I think that they'll run let go almost all the time. Like they're always let go and some, either day show or they're running the Ancient Master just to ram home that favor steal. But they're so strong.
The
Ancient Master. No, the Wandering guy. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I wonder if this means more good players play those clans.
I think those 2 clans have a very... They're both very popular. Look at it that way. Like, really... I'm pretty sure Scorpion and Crane are the 2 most popular clans.
Wandering, Tattooed Wonder.
As far as clan loyalty goes, not necessarily what is being played at the time. And then I think it's a pretty even split between the other 5.
I think so.
I have new players come to play the game and they're like, "Oh, give me Scorpion. I want to play Scorpion. They sound like a lot of fun." And I'm like, "Mate, as a new player, it's a really technical clan to play."
Well, that's why the Spider Clan was so popular as well, because it meant you had 2 bad guy clans you could play. Back when they happened, there were two of those bad guys trying to do good.
I think that's fair.
Kind of way. Anyway, that's a contentious topic. The Spider Clan.
So Crab coming in at 3rd place as far as like qualifications on a percentage basis. So they're at 12% at Gen Con, 15% at Krakow Day 1, and 10% and Krakow Day 2. So lots of good crabs coming in. Yep, super solid. Nobody's surprised there. Phoenix are 4th in line in terms of their qualifications on a per percentage basis. So 16% at Gen Con, 13% at Krakow, and 5% at Krakow Day 2.
Yeah. I wonder if for Krakow, like the decks themselves...
That's really solid.
I wonder how many Phoenix players have actively avoided playing Dredgebird and done something else because of all the hostility around that deck. Yeah, maybe, but as in the last cast, I don't think there is much of a meta to cancel the Dredgebird, but it's hard to meta against, I think. But I just wonder, like, it wouldn't surprise me to hear that a lot of people are going, "Oh, I'm not going to play it because people will judge it," or if they just consider it to be...
Or they want to be slightly off meta to counter it.
Strong.
Mm. 16% at Gen Con, and 13% at Krakow Day 1. So at Gen Con, it's 15%. So what's that? 1 out of every 6
And sorry,
players?
Merlin, what did you say the Day 1B qualification was for Phoenix Day?
Day 2 was 5%.
Ah. Yep.
Oh, I made a mistake. Let me have a look.
And Day 2?
Yeah, okay. I might have just I just got that one wrong.
I see what's happening here. It's cherry picking the data to make Phoenix look better.
Oh,
That's what it is.
come on.
That's what's going on.
But what was your
See, I'm not
day
going to
to
make
back
any
outside?
mistakes, right? Just for this
Sorry?
reason.
Yeah, mistakes.
No,
17% here
you're
on
right.
Imperial
It is
Writer.
17%, according to Imperial Writer.
Yeah, Lion's got 5%.
Which actually puts Phoenix at the top. Where's Lion? Oh, there you go. I've got Lion at 5% in my spreadsheet, which puts Lion
Well,
tied
make
for bottom
them
with Unicorn in
look
terms of,
worse, actually.
what do you call it, on a percentage basis?
Yeah, the moral of that story is don't take HMT. I think all the clans that hold that
The
place,
clans that have HMT don't qualify very much.
it's a cursed
That
place.
sounds more like it.
So
Well,
So
Lion's
Phoenix
not at the
actually in
top.
first place. So day 2 at Krakow, almost 20%, almost 1 in 5 players.
This is making a lot more sense to me now.
Hooray.
Real uncensored data.
Yeah, thanks. So, what clans have we missed?
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about Lion and Unicorn and Dragon. Sorry, Dragon are at the bottom. Dragon are at the bottom. Mistake number 2. Dragon are at the bottom with 4 at Gen Con, 9 at Krakow Day 1, and 0 at Krakow Day 2. Somebody check my numbers.
Okay, so this is... No, I'm not confident.
It sounds about right? Yeah. Based on what we
Sure.
just said about bad matchups for Dragon.
Yeah. So are you looking at the qualification rate
Yes. Yep.
for Krakow which day?
For which clan are you asking about?
Like, is it one day?
Uh,
I mean, first of all.
Well, both, right? So Dragon
Yeah, that
had
sounds right to me.
4% at Gen Con, 9% at Krakow Day 1, and 0% at Krakow Day 2.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, poor Dragon and Unicorn, 0%. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Scorpion and Crane, ever since, I think,
Krakow Day 2
when
looked like
Young
what I
Rumomonga
imagined it meant to be,
and
just looking at this bar.
Bees
And for the listeners at
went on
home,
the
you've got
restricted
very
list,
high
and that whole little
light blue bars,
Fate Worse Than Death
orange
controversy
bars,
went
and
away.
red bars.
Since that
Moderately
time,
high grey,
because
and then
Scorpion was
nothing
fairly
else.
dominant.
And that's what it
prior,
feels
right?
like at the moment.
But since then, I feel like Scorpion and Crane have both been very, very consistent performers everywhere. Like, every time. Like, they are always doing quite well all the time. And every other clan is sort of having these big troughs and these big peaks. But those two are always... They're just sort of just below the top tier. And they're consistent enough to be able to play. And I think that's what you see here, is there's so much of them. And Phoenix are obviously in a bit of a peak.
I agree.
well.
For the next couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
Looking at...
absolutely.
So, in terms of like bad matchups, Scorpion had 2 overall for these tournaments we're looking at, and Phoenix had 3 overall. Everybody else has heaps more bad matchups. So the 2 consistent clans.
Like you've got
clearly
Phoenix,
Scorpion
which is really
and
strong,
Phoenix.
and
I
then you've
think
got
Crab is still
Scorpion and
pretty
Crane,
good,
which are
but
really
I think
strong against Phoenix.
I think
But there's your
I
top
find, I
four.
don't know about you guys, I find Crab more difficult to pilot, so I kind of feel like good players are also doing really well with Crab.
Maybe. I'm not so sure Crab are difficult to pilot. They're a very, very different pilot needed. Like you have to play them very differently to the way you play those other 2. Like Phoenix and Scorpion, I feel play very similar. Like they're both traditionally very event heavy. They both have a few little guys that have really cool abilities, and they've got a really good mid board with some really powerful top end guys, and they can just invest into those with some big fat events, a bit of kill, or Fate Worse Than Death if that's your thing. But they're very similar, I think, and they're very well practiced, and the way they play hasn't changed much in a long time. I think it's probably a lot of popularity too, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move the conversation a little bit into answering some of the questions that people had. So Jake Croker asked, how do you predict Ty will hit the chicken deck without hitting Crab and Lion in the process? So I know you've already said, Butters, that you don't think he's going to get hit, but let's just assume that a change gets made, what do you think the most likely change is to be made?
I don't want there to be. I want to say it's going to be something on a restricted list because I really don't like the errata. Like they started saying no, we're not going to do any, and then there was the really obvious one for the Hawk Tattoo, and then Tadaka happened, and then Open Hand, then City Open Hand, and there's just it keeps going, and their errata is annoying and inconvenient and lame. If they errata, I think it'll be the bird only works in the fate phase. So it takes away that fate comes back and brings someone back from the dead only in the fate phase when he goes away. And that way it takes the bird back to like its intended use, which is bring someone back at the end for one turn, not 2 turns worth of ass kicking.
And the
But
card that was
otherwise,
promised?
yeah.
I think that's reasonable. I agree with that. I think that would be a reasonable errata if they did go down that route. The other one would be Satoshi.
Yeah, see, I get that, but I think though, if you did that with Satoshi, I
cards
think
back
that
into your deck rather than discard, because if you
cutting off
play,
your nose to
say,
spite
3
your face a bit.
Satoshis
Like, I
and
think
nothing else, you can happily dump
you take
a
away
third or
that
half of
constant
your
milling,
deck
but it
into
also takes away
your
the
discard.
risk.
And then like your
people
discard
can then,
becomes
if
the
you
second
are
hand
running
at that
3
phase. And if you've
Satoshis
got
and Kanjo
Shinbeishi
District, for
and 3
example, as a
Forbearance Echo
default in your
deck,
deck,
and
you
you
can
get
just
a lot
mill
of
every
recursion
turn
value
with
very quickly.
Satoshi and not have to worry about decking yourself. And you're always going to get that every turn. And it turns off the bird, but not so much. I think it opens up a new cupboard full of problems for a lot of decks.
So what was your proposal, Paul? Right.
I mean, that
So
does
it
turn
would
up, but
be-
I also really like his interactions, though. I like grinding the top of your deck away with the big fat 4-coster early in the game that doesn't do a whole lot otherwise. That even doesn't. That doesn't.
So,
really
what would be
fit
the problem
into a
if
lot of those
the
decks, like a
so when you use
Courtier,
Satoshi,
this
the
doesn't really
excess
mesh
cards
with
go
Crown
shuffled
or
back
with-
into your
or
dynasty
with
and not to
Phoenix.
your discard.
Yeah, that's it. And I don't know. Like, I like those cards. It's the same. Like, I don't like the rebuilds on the restricted list because it's a unique effect that is really good to use for all kinds of strange decks.
Yeah, that's
Often
true.
with Satoshi, actually. But yeah,
So-
I don't know.
So I
Yeah,
reckon...
Yeah, he's just at a mill.
I was just thinking that I feel like Echoes is a charge-like action, and I feel like restricting Echoes sounds to me like the most likely thing for them to do. Because I agree, I think
Yeah.
Errata,
He's just a very powerful
Errata
miller.
is
you could also do,
unappealing, unappetizing, and I think
sorry,
if you
go.
if you were going to Errata, I think the two things that you could do that would be very close are restricting Echoes or Errata-ing Echoes, and I think you would Errata Echoes to like 5 cost or less.
I think that'd feel the best. Like making particularly Phoenix have to choose between Echoes and Charge. Because I think, as I said, it's that whole toolbox that comes together that's really rough. Like, if you have to get your bird into your discard
Inelegant.
with someone else to trigger him off, then you have to have Echoes. That's different. But when you've got him in your row and you can charge him and get all that good stuff out, like, it's just gets really intense.
But in my heart of hearts, anyway, go Hatamoto-san. Correct. Yep.
For the recursion, though, because to be able to recur your restricted card is pretty.
And I'm not
good.
sure. I'm not sure if that's enough of a hit.
So
but,
Merlin,
I feel like that's the most likely. I feel like the most
I was just going to ask
equitably
Merlin. So
fair
suppose that
one
did
to
happen.
do
and
is to actually
put,
errata
Echoes on the
Echoes.
restricted list.
And
Yeah,
I assume that as a
5
Phoenix
cost or
player,
less.
you would take Echoes
The
at
only
a
issue,
charge.
though, is that it doesn't matter what they do, you won't even know if it's worked or not for at least 3 months.
Yeah, I know.
if that deck comes back. So what you gonna do, you know? Yeah.
I'm not sure that would work, but yeah, I've heard that one too. Yeah.
I think they'd still do it, but
So all that being the case, then, right? So we've looked at
another one I've heard
the
thrown around is
metagame of
that if
these
you
big
use the
events,
stronghold,
and we talked about
the
Sydney
second time you
Kotei.
use the
Melissa
spell out of
Melissa
your
Marsh,
discard, you have to pay one more, which could make it a
Utaku
little bit
Yamada
more
on
balanced.
Discord, so asks, is there an Australian meta, and how does it compare everywhere else? So,
Well,
yeah.
Australia is the kind of place where Unicorn can win a Kotei. So, so that happens.
Can't in the south.
Yeah, that's right. So the stars can align a bit, and true, you may not hit Phoenix, but I don't know. I mean, I like to think we have a bit more variance. Like our cities are quite far apart. I mean, I say that from Perth, and
Bizarroland,
which is super far from everywhere else. So there's not as much bleed between individual locations. So I think when you go to a bigger tournament like Kotei, I would expect to see a far more mixed field than any established meta like they might have in the UK or the US, where it doesn't matter where you are, there's a big population in another city really close by. I feel like that'd make a very big difference. As to what that looks like, I couldn't even begin to tell you, because I think it's just a bit more random. I think there's just, everyone's got their own flavour in their local meta. Like, for example, Jack, right over here, who took out our EC, is very, very good, but his Lion deck, like, doesn't run attachments much at all. And there's quite a few decks that go very similar, because
I think that's fair.
They might only have fans and katanas, which are not that big of a deal. So everyone's attachment hate tends up dead cards, so maybe you don't take it as much. But then if you were to go over to Kotei, and if everyone over there is running, you know, like big fat attachments because their meta's the complete opposite, so no one runs attachment hate, then you're going to have a really bad time. Like if you're running Unicorn and you drop your Chags and then someone pacifies him with your Phoenix card, like that's a bad time, right? That's meta kicking you in the teeth.
I will agree that go.
Yeah.
Yes. I think too that go man. I was just going to say that there's a big difference in Australia between your local metas and playing online. Because I know, like, we've got our little play group here in Canberra, and we sort of know each other's tricks by now. But you go online, and you go through obviously pretty cutthroat, particularly.
Actually, I think I might say, I think our
you
top level
learn
is
quickly
more
playing
or less
online,
the
like
same as
what the meta is.
meta.
That's obviously you're playing
like, I
worldwide
think
when you're
in the
you go
cut,
through. And so
at
if you're
any
playing
tournament, I think
regularly
you're likely to
online,
find
you sort of
expected
keep up with
decks.
the world
Stuff
meta,
that you will have
where
already played
we do have
against,
these little pockets
but
of local
everywhere
metas.
else in the field, like you're going to get all kinds
But
of
yeah,
weird
there's
stuff
a
all the
big
way
gap
through,
between people who just play
is my
locally
guess.
and people
And that's
play
what I
online
see
constantly.
at local events like REC and stuff. But again, like we've got players like Jack, and Jack actually, we didn't mention it last time, but Jack was in the most recent Discord League online, the World Discord League. Jack was top line as well,
nice.
which
That's
is
really
quite
cool.
neat. Yeah. So he did quite well there as well, which is really good. So it was an interesting experience, constantly having Lion win over here when they were meant to be so bad, and then suddenly they're not.
Yeah, I
So
kind of
there's
agree,
that.
right? Like, I think that the online meta doesn't invade so much into the play groups during
that's
casual
awesome.
play or even sort of local
That's very
tournaments.
cool.
But I think when you get into the cut, you are definitely going to see the kind of meta that exists in the online meta.
Yeah.
So I think,
I'm with
is there an Australian meta? No. I think that the metagame is dominated by certain types of decks. I got all my Phoenix decks on my table all around me right now, right? And I've been staring at them for 2 days, trying to see if I could make a deck work that's at least as good as the current Phoenix deck.
Definitely.
And it's proving to be quite a challenge. So I think
What role did you guys just get? Was it Keeper of Earth?
Seeker of Earth. If it was Keeper of Earth, I'd actually be a lot happier. I'd be trying different things.
It
But
still confuses me, like why you'd go Seeker of Earth.
I personally didn't. I personally went Keeper of Earth. But
I mean, really, I feel like Phoenix should. The smart move would have been just constantly cycle Keeper of Air, Seeker of Air, and you'd be laughing, and maybe splash in Seeker of Void now and then because it's so freaking good.
well, I think in lieu of any new cards coming out until after Christmas, I think it's most likely that if Phoenix gets the opportunity to pick Keeper of Air at Worlds, they probably will.
Yeah, true. You know, I've just noticed, since we're talking about unicorn and rolls and stuff so much, that now you can splash
That makes sense.
Phoenix in unicorn and run Keeper of Earth, so you can have Earth become Sky. But you also run Khan's Ordu with a talisman, so you can throw them into it. But because all the conflicts are now military, and unicorn have got so much, you can also be splashing pacifism, so you can completely lock a character out of any conflict for the entire turn every time that triggers. Oh, it's not very nice.
That is the highest of high rolls.
That's great. Yeah, I like it. I really...
I had not thought
But
of
I really
pacifism.
like also at the moment with the new...
You know, the
since,
ultimate,
Satsume has come out...
The opposite of that is when you run Sashimono, and you trigger Khan's Ordu, and you get 5 military conflicts, and your character doesn't bow for any of them.
Which is really... It's the first time that's been able to be done in any practical sense. You know,
I've done it once.
Fire garbage like that on break.
But I hadn't thought of the pacifism. That's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, me too.
I think
I'm trying to figure out if a 5 strength upholding authority is actually worth it. Not sure yet.
No, it is.
That's interesting.
Like in... No, I think it does. I think it's for defensive decks. I think
I've tried to think about how to use that.
If you're going to run
but yeah.
an honor or a dishonor deck, I've changed my mind about this a little bit recently. I think you can run both of those archetypes in
That's
tournaments.
a really interesting thing. Like I think it's worth it, but it changes your
weenie
thinking.
guys that all they do is collect fade off rings for poking attacks, and also take some people out of the field when they defend. Otherwise, you're just making sure none of your stuff breaks, right? Whilst maintaining an honor advantage and probably the favor. And that way, by the time you get all the way down to where you count points, you get the mod win every time. Because you just win on points and no one's broken anything.
And everyone's happy.
Yeah, well, it's ultimately, you just don't attack, right? You just bunker down. And you can have, like, all these punishing things, like upholding authority at 5 cost, if your opponent's got to really bust their balls to get through it, and then they have to have their card. Yeah.
Well, some might argue that at 5
you can do that
province
6 times in a day,
you
man.
have
That's
to
a lot of
invest
things.
cards in order to break it, and
You can do it.
therefore it's losing some of its value when you're investing cards to break it, because you're playing the cards for value rather than just discarding them for no value.
Yeah, true. Or, yeah. I mean, a slightly more serious Phoenix Splash in HMT,
Yeah,
I
and
think
their
would
reward
be
is...
the Berserker Unicorn deck, where you just have all the stuff that explodes when you break it, and then you're running Display of Power. So every time your opponent breaks one of yours, it just super feels bad.
Yes.
And you can, meanwhile, just hit them back over and over and over again with all your crazy
Yes,
HMTs.
that's true.
I think that'd be good times. Yeah, let me know. Win the next Kotei with it, mate.
That's hilarious.
So,
All right.
Paul, very quickly, what was your Kotei win loot? What did you get for taking out first place? Did you get an actual unicorn? What do they eat? Is it like
I'll do it and I'll report back.
sprinkles? Is that
They eat cupcakes, man. Cupcakes and milkshakes.
You bet.
cupcakes and milkshakes? Okay. Yep.
Well, I did. He's out the back. You got to feed him a lot, but he's cool.
Oh, that's super good.
But no.
Oh, they're the ones that
Ambushes.
you spend
Yeah,
the points
fairy
on.
dust
The
and-
coca one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, it's good. Wayne got
So
an
I think,
amazing
are we
suit.
about
The
to
really
wrap
cool
up, or are we
Gen
moving on to
Con
another
promos.
topic?
No,
He
I
was able to
reckon.
do some of them.
I reckon
prizes. So
we're
I got
probably about an
3
hour, so
Ninja
this
ambushes
is
and
about
3
that time.
We're
Conquerors
an hour and
which
15.
I'm
So
very
before we
excited
do
to
go,
receive
I
in the
just
mail
wanted to
soon.
shout out very quickly and remind everyone that listens, so both of you, that we do have Australian
That's right.
Nationals on the 23rd of November in Brizzy. Whereabouts in Brisbane is it? Is it like inner Brisbane, or is it like Sydney where you've got to catch a second plane practically to get out to the Kotei because it was way out of town?
You asking me? I'm not sure.
Anyone? I don't know fuck all about.
I feel like it's the central hub for L5R, and so I
definitely
would
have
expect that it's not too far out of the way.
Yeah, I know they've got a decent play group there. Like their base is about 18 guys, I think Wayne said. So that's really cool. So bare minimum, you're going to get a decent turnout, I think, to that event. I'm really hoping to do it, but
So we should call it Grand Championships, right? Because they went out of their way to say they're definitely not nationals, because America is going to get like 5 or 6 of them.
Grand Champions. Yeah. No, Grand Champion. I mean, and that honestly, that makes it sound a bit better too, and a bit more efficient, effective rather, or official. I'd be keen to see what the prize is. Like, you can still, presumably, if you win that, yeah, well, there's that. But presumably you get Hatamoto and stuff, right, for those kind of events?
No.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
those kind of titles, they feel really good. Like, I feel like that's the main prize, right? Getting cool titles.
Well, it is, but you're not going to get Hatamoto at a Grand Championship.
But you should, Merlin. You should.
They are very cool promos.
Yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, you can do that. But But you warranted this one, and as far as I know, Canada's running right now.
I don't think you do, no.
You're going to get sick-ass promos and playmats.
Yeah, well, the thing, like, playmats, for ages I didn't get them, right? I didn't understand why people use playmats. I'm like, you've got a table, why do you need a playmat? And then Simkov, I borrowed one of his when we played, and I went, oh, this is way better. Like, I can pick up my cards without tearing them in half and crunching them up and picking at the edges. I'm like, all right. So I bought one. And then you hooked me up with that artist. With the amazing Daigotsu mat that he signed for me. Oh, what was his name? Sorry.
Oh, did you get that? That's Drew Baker, man.
Yeah, Drew Baker. No, I absolutely purchased that. It's fucking boss. It's an amazing playmat. Because Daigotsu is an absolute machine. I love that guy. Man.
Drew Baker is prolific in old L5R.
Yeah,
Steve Argyle, I think, are like the most. They've got the most artwork in the game.
Yeah, no, he absolutely hooked me up, and he signed the mat and everything, which was super awesome. So yeah, that was super great. But then I got a third one for the EC. I got one of the mats there, and now we've got all these tournaments popping up with extra mats, and now I'm like swimming in them. Like, I don't know what to do with the stupid things. Like, what do you do? Don't you have, like, didn't Ben once call you the Matamoto?
Yes, that's exactly what I am.
What do you...
Alright, hang on. I came over to Hong Kong. I had to choose, I had to keep the weight down. I had to choose a limited supply of playmats to come over with. I think I came over with 3 playmats. I now currently have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 playmats. And I've only been here for like 6 months.
But why?
I think he has a collage on one of his walls with his mural.
Every occasion. That's right. What if I suddenly want to play Crab? What if I want to play Lion? You know, like, I need a playmat that's appropriate for the clan that I'm playing.
Just
Granted, they're all basically...
Take the EC Imperial Palace one.
No, man, it's got to feel right. It's got to feel right. You got to build the deck, and the whole aesthetic has to just kind of work, right? It's like the
I
rug
think they're really cheap
ties
to
the room
make,
together.
and they look really cool.
Man. I did not take the 2-player mat. I was very tempted. Where was I? And there was a 2-player mat.
They're really cool. I quite like those.
Yeah, I think I was back in Melbourne and somebody had a 2-player mat. I was very, very tempted because they're really, really good. So I say again.
Melvin, did you take your giant 2-player mat?
There's like a whole plastic tub full of playmats in storage. All of them have individual little playmat tubes and stuff. Yeah.
Merlin's playmats have got their own storage locker.
I'm pretty sure.
Is yours in storage now?
I must be getting close to 100 total playmats.
Where's yours now? Is it in storage or something?
One of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. So absurd.
What's this guy doing?
They won't. In another 3 or 4 years, someone's going to go in there. Merlin will go looking for a mat, and there'll just be a dead body wrapped in playmats. It'll be just entombed in the corner, and this guy will have gotten lost in there and have no idea what's happening. And he's just covered in rubber and strange materials.
Who knows nothing about content or
paper cuts and stuff.
And they're going to wonder what the hell.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And then you have to buy replacement mats.
Yeah, all right. Let's not think how we're going to murder people with L5R play tokens and stuff.
Yeah.
But they could be like comic collections, right? They could be worth a bit in a couple of years.
Uh-huh. Good. No, well, I hope so.
I will have the world's supply of playmats. You will thank me, right? Like one day when the world has gone post-apocalyptic, right, and playmats are the currency of the realm, I will be the playmat baron.
I think that's a really impractical currency.
Yeah.
No,
I think Rob was saying
that's
that he
fine.
works in like...
I've
I'm
got
very
my
happy
one-of-a-kind playmat, so...
Yeah, I'm very happy with all of my playmats. I
Yeah.
don't know, it's a sickness.
At least I know
So-
where to send them all when I get them now, so...
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking actually, so that you could buy like a
And I
bunch
bet
of the
they're really
playmats
good
at
insulation
Sydney
for your
Kotei.
hut as well.
They were a bit expensive, but I managed to talk the guy down on one of the crab mats, and I ended up buying that. But I did seriously consider just buying them all. Buy them all!
You're sick.
Oh,
You
you
need to go
bought
to, like...
6? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, Jesus. You need to go to, like... You need to go to Playmat Rehab.
Anonymous,
or
yeah.
something. Playmats
PA,
Anonymous.
Playmats Anonymous.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. All right. Anyway, this has been really, really good. Thanks, Paul, for coming on and sharing your Khanly wisdom.
I got
Yes,
6 with my
thank you very
Kotei, so Koku as well. Yeah, 1 for each clan now.
Nice of you to say, but we know that's not true. So,
Speaking of the Australian community, we're going to start up the Discord League again real soon. I'm working on some automation to make the sign-up process and the reporting process a bit easier. So that's going to come on. You're going to play
No,
that
thank
with us,
you.
Paul?
You guys do really good work. It's great for the Australian community to have it, so keep it up.
You've got a title to defend.
awesome. Couldn't you... Aren't you, like... Cheap labor is, like, the main thing in China, right? Can't you just hire someone to be the automator and he'll just process the data for us?
Yeah, so cheap unskilled labor is the thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's
Skilled
unskilled,
labour,
right? But that, all
Programming?
you want is
Oh,
someone
I don't know
to-
what kind of
to-
programming you do, mate.
No. Well, I promise
I
you it's
think I will
unskilled,
now,
I can
yes.
tell you that much.
Well done.
But, no, I mean, like, instead of programming automation,
Oh,
just
God.
hire a guy full-time to sit
Oh,
there
just
and
to
do,
key
the,
stuff
and do
in.
data
Oh, yeah.
entry
Yeah.
and do the things. Yeah, that's right.
I should totally do that.
Easy as. That's in between cutting down facial recognition posts and stuff like they're doing in Hong Kong. So,
Yeah, a lot of change going on in Hong Kong. But that's probably a topic for, one of our other, podcasts to cover.
our off-air casts. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the after
button.
hours, after dark. Hidden City Rollers
right.
after dark.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank
All
you
right.
very much, Paul, the Khan of Khans, the Khan in the South, Shinjo Paul, Moto Paul, Shinjo-sama, Hadamoto-sama, the Khan that was promised, and the one.
Jesus Christ. That's intense.
Yep,
That's a lot of titles. I didn't realize you got all those for Kotei. That's pretty good, actually.
yep. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think it's a lanyard at a certain size. I think you've got to wear it on a rope. All right, guys. That's right. All right. Have a
See
good
you
one,
guys.
fellas.
Take care.
Say
All of the above.